I am here today with Mr. Chuck Wright. Chuck is a world-renowned bassist who has worked with everyone from Alice Cooper to Greg Allman to Slash and everyone in between. Chuck has also been the key organizer of Ultimate Jam Night, which is now held at the Whisky A Go-Go for a number of years. Of course, Chuck recorded and toured the world with Quiet Riot for more than 30 years and is now stepping out on his own with Chuck Wright's Sheltering Sky. Chuck Wright's Sheltering Sky sees its official release this Friday, May 20th, right, on Cleopatra Records. Chuck, man, it is great to have you here, man.
I'm glad to be here. It's good to see you again. It's been too long, man.
It has, man. I've been waiting for this, and it's great to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
This just in. You won 2 Rock Music Alliance awards already, and the album's not even out. How does that happen, man?
Well, I know. I just found out a couple of days ago. I go, what? And I saw the list of people. It was like Joe Satriani, John Five, all these people that I was up against, and I go, what? And it was the first thing. It's a song called "Weight of Silence," and it was the first thing I ever recorded for it, which ended up being this album. I never intended on doing a solo album. Because of the pandemic, I was trying to make a bad situation, that it gave me the time to sit down and start composing again between doing weekend flyouts constantly with Quiet Riot and running Ultimate Jam Night, which is, if you don't know, it's like coordinating between 50 to 70 professional musicians under a different theme, coordinating each song, where they're going to play, what time they're going to be. It's like it really is insane.
I don't know how you do it, man. So, it's unbelievable.
But I hadn't had time to take the time to just sit down and composing. And I was writing from what I was feeling with Weight of Silence. I was looking around, with the pandemic at like major cities like New York City, Las Vegas, that always were bustling, being completely nobody on the street. Yeah. So I recorded the music myself. I played everything, and I edited together a video using drone footage from all the different major cities with no people. And I had one character in a hazmat suit was supposed to be the last man on Earth, left. And there's an empty train that goes through the whole video. And I guess they liked the video enough for it to win the award for best video. It's just something I made myself. But anyway, so I put that song out as an instrumental track on YouTube, and Troy Lucetta from Tesla saw it and called me up, and he said, man, I love that track. I'd love to play on it. And I go, I've never thought about drums on it. It's 6/8 feel. Yeah, that could be really cool. He has a studio. He did it, and at the same time, a guitar player in town that I love named Alan Hines, who's a top jazz fusion guitar player, put some guitar on it too. He wanted it, and I edited it all together and made it thematic, and it really turned into something. So I heard that Derek Sherinian from, you might know him from Dream Theater, and he does his own solo records. He has a new one out called Vortex. It's killer.
He's a genius. The guy is great.
He's really, really good. But anyway, I heard he liked it. So I and he's a friend. So I said, hey, do you want to put some Mellotron maybe and some synthesizers? And he threw that on there. And then then I'm playing all the acoustic guitars on it. But I thought, you know what? It needs a little bit more of a Spanish feel to it. Now, a lot of people don't know I was in a flamenco group for 2 years too. That's another side of what I do. And I really wanted that kind of feel more. So I had a guy that's known, fantastic flamenco guitar player named Ben Woods, who had a thing called Heavy Mellow, which they do like Iron Maiden as flamenco songs. So I had him reinforce what I did. So it became this whole new thing. So I re-edited the video with the guys in it and put that out. And that's the one that won the award. Man. And from there, I just started, I wasn't planning on, like when you're a band, you kind of have a sound and you're going for a thing, right? So this was just me writing music that I'd want to listen to. So suddenly I'm covering like progressive rock, fusion, jazz fusion. I'm doing straight in your face rock. I'm doing some Zeppelin kind of ballady kind of thing. I'm doing a Robert Plant, Alison Krauss folk kind of thing. And I even have a Celtic song on there, which is called Darkness, Darkness, that David Victor, who sang with Boston's a singer on it. But it was a song when I was a kid, I've always loved my whole life. It always got to me, the lyric in the song and the feeling of the song. But I really wanted to take the Celtic element that they had. It was by the Youngbloods. It came out in '69, and make it even bigger and make it more cinematic. So, I have fiddle, I have Bahrain on there. I have three different drummers playing tom toms, and it could be like the new Braveheart movie or something. It has that kind of cinematic feel to it.
It definitely does, and I'm listening to it and I'm like, it's tribal yet Celtic.
Right.
It's really, really a powerful, powerful song. And I'm thinking, it reminded me a little of like what Blackmore's doing in Blackmoores Night, with that kind of thing, just magnified and lifted. Is that a hurdy-gurdy at all in there?
No, there's not a hurdy. I didn't have a hurdy-gurdy. Okay. There's some keyboards going on in the background.
It's just such.
I really couldn't. I did look for hurdy-gurdy stuff, but I just couldn't find anything that could work with that song.
Right.
But I have a local band called Acoustic Saints that I've had for 10 years now, and we reinterpret classic rock with violin, mandolin, and small kid, and I play fretless, and with Stan Bush, you might know him.
Yeah.
Great singer, and he actually wrote songs for Quiet Riot and House of Lords. But anyway, we've been together 10 years, and Rick Salon, who's an amazing guitar player. We do Eric Johnson acoustically. He's also a killer fiddle player, so I had him put on that fiddle that's on there and do that classic line, and then he solos out on the end. Yeah. He's a big Jean-Luc Ponty fan, so I let him. I go for it.
Yeah.
So I was, I was able to tap into so many friends, the right person for the right part. There's 41. I just did a recount. There's 41 guest performers on the record. And I have different singers that were right for the particular track, and.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. I mean, it's fantastic. Now, it's on the cover we'll get into the cover too. Crazy. Chuck Wright's "Sheltering Sky." Is that kind of the name of the band project, or is that the name of the record?
It's like if it was a band or a project or whatever. It's because I felt that having so many different people involved, that it felt more like I don't know what you'd call it, but basically for me, I've kind of felt like the term "sheltering sky," like the umbrella for, with all these musicians. I gather them together, create a social network. And that's kind of like the sheltering sky, looking over all these people, because in LA back in 2015, DJs were taking over. DJs can't jam, right. Yeah. So after this little jam we had that was going on in the Valley died. I mean, not died, it just, the club closed. People were after me. Hey, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it again? So, I put it back together. It's been going strong. And that's kind of where the name came from. It was better than Chuck Wright's umbrella. I like better.
There you go. Much better.
And I was really, really blessed. You might know I do graphic design as well. And I actually worked up a bunch of ideas for the cover, but when the best guy in the business, Glenn Wexler, you might know his work from Van Halen, Rush, Black Sabbath, the list goes on, says, hey, he's like one of my closest friends. He says, hey, I'd love to do your CD. I've listened, because he listened to the music, and he came up with this cool, iconic, vulture leaving a desolation, which is really representing hope. Because the vultures always look at it as like a sign of death, but it's like it's lifting up and leaving, and the sun's eclipsing, and it's just very picturesque.
It sure is, and
it fits the music too, I think.
Yeah, totally. And that's old school for me. I used to. It was an event to go buy the record, unwrap it, put it on.
Yeah.
Look at the cover art. I made that association with the sound, with the art.
Right.
And I don't do that so much anymore. And
nobody does that.
Yeah, I did that with this record though,
Oh,
and
good.
It would, because the cover art's out there. You're putting it out. Whenever I see anytime the album's mentioned, the artwork is there. It's associated with the music and this record, and that's special. That was really special for me as an old school guy to associate that image with the sound.
I'm glad that worked for you. I felt the same thing about it, and I really feel I kind of feel bad for all the younger people that didn't get the experience that when I was a kid in high school, I would go to the record store and I made friends with the guy, and he knew that I was into English bands, and he turned me on to a thing called the Melody Maker magazine, which was really a newspaper. And you'd read about, oh, Humble Pie's playing this club and this band, and when they came into town, you know, I'd go see them at the Whiskey. Well, I saw Yes at the Whiskey for $5 when I was 15, which
Crazy.
totally turned my head around. I so blown away. I mean, I was into Deep Purple and Black Sabbath at that point. And then when I saw Yes, I went, oh my God, I can't believe you can do this. And that's when I started getting into progressive rock music more.
Yeah.
And King Crimson. And in fact, I did an English report in my high school on 21st Century Schizoid Man. And the teacher was so blown away, she made the class listen to the whole album.
Oh, that's awesome.
The King album. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Oh, that is way cool.
Pete Sinfield's lyrics are just amazing. And so I got into the prog world more then, and it's kind of stayed with me. And I had a kind of a progressive rock band in the late 70s, early 80s called Sadder. We were the first band in history to have a laser show. We knew a guy at Pasadena Tech that developed the technology, and we had him shooting off lasers, and we had a screen with the laser show going on behind us, and we had stages that looked like flying saucers. It was a really big deal. And that guitar player was working with Kevin Dubrow in the band Dubrow, and then eventually they brought me in, and that's how my connection all started with that. And that was 1981.
Yeah. And that was unheard of at the time. The laser thing too.
Oh yeah, doing the kind of show we did. We even handed out booklets that were like a comic book, like the Heavy Metal magazine. It's like I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So like we had a thing called the Trilogy, and it was a whole sci-fi story. And we handed out pamphlets that the lead singer was an amazing artist. In fact, he went on to do The Thing, build monsters for the movie The Thing.
Wow, yeah.
Kurt Russell. Anyway, he did these
John
great
Carpenter.
drawings. We created like a comic book of that trilogy of the lyrics, and it told the whole story, and handed them out.
Wow.
So it was an event when we played. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we headlined 3 nights in a row at a place called the Starwood, which was a famous club back in the day.
Yeah.
When the Whiskey was going, the Starwood was going, Madam Wong's West was going.
Yep, there's so much lore to that, especially for me. I'm a Chicago kid, and getting into the bands, getting into Quiet Riot, Motley Crue at the time, and Rat, and all that whole scene, and that early '80s thing. It was, to go to the Whiskey was still a dream. I still want to, I'd want to get out there and go get to an Ultimate Jam night now.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, that would be.
This week we're doing Britain Rocks, this one coming up, which I decided to make it part 1 because when I started researching how many great artists came out of, and I'm talking about all styles, but came out of England, it's just insane. Or out of the UK. It's just crazy. So this is part 1, and we'll do part 2 and eventually part 3.
That's great, man. That's cool. Is this the exact record you wanted to make before you started it? Did you say I want to have this diverse record and everything, or did it just kind of happen?
No, it's like I was saying earlier. I had no intention of doing a solo album at all.
Yeah,
I was just writing songs art for art's sake, just that I thought were cool, stuff I want to listen to.
Right. Did they change as you?
And then I reached out to, I said, hey, check out this song I'm working on. You want to do some guitar on it? One song is called Farewell to Horizon. It's an instrumental track. It's the only one that I wrote on bass. I started with bass and then I added some guitar underneath it. Right. But it was a bass-oriented song. It actually has 3 basses on it. But I reached out to my friend Toshi Unagi, who you might know from the Jimmy Kimmel Show. He's like the guitar player, but he's an amazing musician, can play any style, any song brilliantly. And I asked him, I said, hey, I've got this kind of fusion-y piece. Would you be into like maybe trying some melody like Jeff Beck style and do some Alan Holdsworth shredding in it? And it took off from there. So he finished that song off with me. It kind of went like that. But there wasn't, I got to 5 songs and I had the Army of Me track done. I found the right voice, which is Whitney Tai, who I discovered through Ultimate Jam Night. And we became friends and we loved working together. So we ended up writing a song together on the album called Time Waits for No One. and she also sings on one of my favorite songs on the album called "Giving Up the Ghost." So I put the video together with a friend of mine named Drew Lanius, who's a 3D animator, and another great friend of mine, Tim here, who's an amazing cinematographer editor. And I put that video together. Then suddenly I have a video and five songs total in a video, and I go, wow, I think I have something here. Yep. At that point, then I go, okay, let me see if I can get somebody interested in this. And Brian Pereira at Cleopatra really dug it, and he doesn't have any reins on you. He just lets you do your thing. And cool. And I had other songs written and partially done, so I was able to finish it off, and that's what happened. That's why Army of Me came out quite a few months ago as the first single, but that's because I was still finishing, trying to get the album done,
Yeah. Wow. That's just awesome the way it comes, and it's so organic,
it's just totally organic. I had no, like, okay, I'm going to do this hard rock record. There are labels that out there, and I won't say who, but they kind of like dictate what you can do, what you can play, and how you should play it. And what, lyrically or chord change, everything. Sure. And this was just total, go for it, do your thing,
Man, it's unusual. It's great.
Yeah, no, it was a great thing to do, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. Now I notice a name that's from a while back for you, and I know a dear friend, Lanny Cordola, and he has such a tremendous, touching, heartwarming story. He is just such a special person. How did you get him involved? He is, for those who don't know, he is in Afghanistan teaching.
He's in Pakistan now.
Pakistan.
He was, yeah. He had to leave the country when the country fell.
Right.
And he's been working very, very hard to try to get his students. They're all female, young girl that he was teaching guitar. His actual school got bombed, which is crazy. But he got out there, and I just found out like last week that he was able to get some of the girls out, and he's still trying to get the girls out. We're still trying to raise money to help him get that done. And the way he was involved in this record is simply because some years ago, Pat Torp, my late friend Pat Torpy from Mr. Big, Lanny and I we were just in writing music, and like Army of Me was just a jam. Pat liked the drum pattern, which Bjork took John Bonham's Levy Breaks and kind of built the song around that. And so we were just jamming on it. And I go, let's record this thing. We recorded it, put it away. And there were some other ideas just, they were put away. Right. I happened to be searching through some song files, and I found these things. And I said, these are too good to just let go. I can't just let them drift off into the ethos. And I want to honor Pat. His drumming's fantastic on it. And Lanny. So the bed tracks of 3 songs on the album are Pat Torpy and Lanny, and then I finished them off Throwing Stones, and It Never Fails, which is another kind of a funk rock tune that has Jeff Scott Soto singing his ass off on. and of course the Army of Me track.
It was great. It really hit me to see Lanny's name there.
Well, he's been a close friend of mine since we started working together.
House of Lords, right?
House of Lords. But we've done so many projects over the years. In the 90s, when the whole 80s rock thing kind of went away, we started doing some kind of experimental stuff. We co-produced 2 reggae records together. We did an ambient trance record together. We had a very cool we called a psychedelic rock and funk band called Magdalene. And then we did a thing called Chaos is the Poetry. Greg Bissonette on drums is just amazing. So there's a bunch of really great records out there. Odd Man Out I did with Pat Torpy. We did 2 albums with a lot of guests on it. That was all in that time frame back then.
Okay.
So Lanny and I have worked together a lot over the years until he went off to help do his new calling, which is helping these young girls.
And it's what he gave up to do what he does is just.
He's like the Gandhi of rock and roll, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is not an exaggeration.
It's not.
That is exactly it. It is a special human being right there.
And I'm blessed to know him, and I think he's brilliant as a songwriter, lyricist, musician. He's some of his solo albums are amazing.
Yeah, it was great to see him on this record for sure. Cover art by Glenn Wexler.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, as a photographer, he is, he's that, he's upper echelon for,
Yeah, he's the top guy.
He is.
I know. He's the best of. I always say he's the best of the best, right?
He definitely is. He definitely is. Now, how important was it for, nowadays? We might not even see the cover ever. We hear the music, we don't even get a cover.
What's crazy is that you got to think in terms of really small now, because it's got to like an inch by an inch.
You're seeing it on your phone, and
you got to be able to make it. So you got to come up with an image that you can recognize, and it's got to pop. Not to so.
Right.
It's totally changed. I remember getting the 10-inch vinyl, man. It was like. You remember,
Absolutely. I mean, that was part of it. That was part of the music.
Part of the experience.
Totally. But the cover art, obviously, I mean, I know Glenn's a great friend. The cover art, you kept it old school. You wanted, it was important to you, wasn't it?
Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just built the cover based on what he felt from listening to the music. Cause I would, he's probably my closest friend. So I would just send him, hey, check out what I'm working on. And he would, so he's very familiar with all of the album pretty much. I think I shared pretty much the whole thing as it was developing with him.
Yeah.
So he'd been, and then he offered to do it. So,
man,
actually I'm going to see him in a few days. I'm going out to the Palm Springs area where he moved to. I used to see him all the time. He lived right here, right near me.
Right.
But he moved out to Palm Springs. I'm doing a gig with Greg D'Angelo, the founding member of White Lion. Terry Luce from Great White.
Yep.
I started working with those guys. They have a thing called Legends of Classic Rock. So we do songs from everybody's repertoire of things that they put out. It's a fun thing. It's a
and that's what's great. It always seems like you're doing a project that you want to do, that you have fun with. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody does that. And I love seeing that, man. I love seeing what you're working on, because I know you're having a great time doing it, man.
That band's a blast. And creating this album has just been an amazing experience. I mean, I can work on something and put it away for a while I'm working on other things. And when I come back to it and I listen back and I get that same feeling and go, wow, this is really great, then I know I have something.
Yeah.
There are a few things I didn't include. These are all, I think, cream of the crop out of what I've been working on over the 18 months or whatever it was.
That's powerful. And you mentioned Giving Up the Ghost, and that one hit me. Yeah. That one hit me in a special way. The voice is just so ethereal. It just took me to another place.
Yeah, Whitney's awesome.
But it's also a song about saying goodbye.
Letting go.
And
then there's also a song I wrote. I got the phone call that Frankie had passed, and I sat down right there with those feelings and picked up I had a 12 string sitting there, and I picked it up and I wrote the song See You on the Other Side in one sitting, top to bottom, the whole arrangement, even the crazy bridge. And I came up with the vocal chorus idea for it with the lyric, and it made me think of all the people I've lost along the way, including my mom and everybody. Right. And, so that's the message. I'll see you on the other side.
No, it's something, man. I just, I listen to it and I get filled up, and, and I think about that as well. And I think about my short time that I had with Frankie. We did the interview, and the one, I have to tell you, the one thing I think about, and I don't want to get too emotional, but I asked him if he had a bucket list item. This was right before he got sick, just before. And he said he'd like take the family to Japan for Christmas.
He did do that.
He do that?
Well, I know he didn't take his daughter, but he took his wife. And he went there during, I think it was Christmas, but definitely it was snow. He knows more about Japanese culture and history than most Japanese people.
Right. Yeah.
I have a Japanese girlfriend, and
right.
she knew him, and they communicated, and she didn't even know he was a drummer.
Right.
She told me that. She goes, I didn't even know he was a drummer when we were online about Japanese culture.
yeah, and we had a big conversation about it and the importance of it to him, and everything. And he said that, and ever since that time, and that wasn't that long ago, um, I I wasn't sure if he ever did that. And
Well, he went over there to play with Mr. Jimmy.
oh
Mr. Jimmy's like
yes,
the Jimmy
Zeppelin tribute.
Page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Led Zeppelin tribute, but he also plays with Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience.
Okay.
So,
yeah, and he did.
And, yeah, he's actually on my album too, Mr. Jimmy. What I did was on that song "See You on the Other Side," I reached out. Frankie had been playing with those guys. Joe Pelletier is a keyboard player, and August Young is a singer. In fact, I finished the verse, lyric, and melody things for that song with August Young, who had been working with Frankie. I wanted everybody who kind of had just been close with him at the time, as part of the song. I mean, there's 5 guitar players on that song, but I did include people that he'd been working with.
Yeah. It's special, man. It really is. And I love the video you did too, in tribute to Frankie on YouTube.
Oh yeah. That took me 3 days of editing, putting that together.
Just something. I mean, it was just so great. I love the memory of Frankie, and it'll always be in my heart for sure. Did you ever think this record might be too diverse? Was that ever a thought, like where you got all of these players and you're doing all these different things, you're doing what you want? That really didn't worry you, did it?
No, I didn't. Like I said, the whole intent was art for art's sake. I'm just making music I'd want to listen to.
That's
and I could put on any one of these songs and go, this is cool. I mean, I come from a background of a lot of different styles of music that I'm into. If it's done well, I like it usually. I've even done country, so it's like,
yep.
But that there's a little folky thing. I have some pedal steel and lap. I have some Pink Floydian type lap steel on some things, and I just try to make it interesting. The song "Throwing Stones," when that just came out, the video, as you know, just came out. The one reviewer compared it to as if Primus and Stevie Wonder got together.
Well, there you go.
Which is a pretty crazy analogy.
It is, really. Yeah. And, I mean, a Les Claypool kind of thing. I can see that.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of like tricky bass stuff in it. Yeah.
And Joe, of course, Joe Retta singing on the track. God. I mean, he's the white Stevie Wonder, I mean,
he is on that track. He is. And I told you, did we already talk about the lyric and all that on that song? I don't remember.
No.
Okay. So with Throwing Stones, I'm sorry, because I've been doing so many. He wrote this lyric, which is an anti-war message before the Russian invasion. Wow. And so when it came time to do the video, I wanted to include, what was going on, in the world and what's still going on, unfortunately, in the world with the war over there. And the message in the song is, as humans, we started off in civilization throwing stones at each other. And now we're launching missiles. How much longer will it take before we grow?
Right.
And that's kind of the message in the song.
Yeah. It's again, another powerful message, another powerful song.
I know that all 3 of the first things that I just happened to line up, Army of Me is timely now too, because the messages in that with Ruth Ginsburg being the army is about human rights, and now we're in this Roe versus Wade thing.
Yeah,
I actually have, it says "My Body, My Choice" written on a woman's chest in the video.
Right, and that's before again.
Yeah. Again, it's all
prophetic. A kind of.
I'm the Nostradamus of rock and roll.
A Nostradamus of rock and roll. There you go.
Actually, Joe is on that song.
Right. That was another guy, Joe. Love Joe. He's, it was great to hear him.
Well, we were in Heaven and Earth together,
right?
Which that album I did with them called Dig I think is exceptional. His vocal on the song House of Blues is just there's a live video of us doing that song House of Blues. You can see on YouTube, and his vocal is just outstanding on it.
Oh yeah, he's.
And I'm so glad I just sent him the music and I said, see what you come up with, I didn't give him any guidance, nothing. I just said, do your thing. And what he came back with blew my mind. And then he said, well, okay, now you like that, I'm gonna redo it. Well, you know what? Most of what he did the first time, he wasn't thinking. When he started thinking, it just was a little bit too perfect or too whatever. I went with this. I edited in what I thought had the attitude and the vibe that was right, and that's what you're hearing.
Yeah. He's incredible. He's one of the best there is, and of course Jeff.
Jeff Scott Soto. The two of those guys are the strongest singers in rock and roll. Really.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm blessed to know a lot of really great, talented people, and there's 41 of them on this record. And I hope everybody gets a chance to check it out and don't have any preconceptions. Oh, it's a guy from Quiet Riot or the guy from House of Lords or whatever. Just listen to it as a new, fresh thing, something new. And
absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. And it is fresh, and it does sound, like something I've never heard. And that's really, really cool.
It's hard to do that too.
It is. There's a lot of stuff out there now that we get to hear.
Well, only 30,000 songs a day are released.
It's
I don't
crazy.
know if you know that, and it's crazy.
It is crazy. Basses. You say that there's a few different basses on this record. Did you? I know you're a 4-string no pick guy. That's what you do. Did you go to like a 5-string on any of this, 6-string or anything like that?
I actually one of the things I wanted to incorporate bass wise on this record. So when you listen to songs when they're going from a chorus to a verse, there's usually a little musical passage and the guitarist doing like some kind of riff. I did that on fretless bass. Like on some of the songs, I would do these like really nice melodic bass parts. Wow. But I did use an 8-string bass.
Wow.
On the song Farewell Horizon, I'm playing chords, tapping chords, kind of like a kind of a police figure. I don't know how else to describe it. But anyway, it's arpeggiated figure, and the low end's being held down by an 8-string bass. And then I have a 4-string bass on the choruses on that song. And then I actually, in that song, I wanted to pay homage to King Crimson. Early King Crimson, because there's so many different King Crimson.
Yeah, right.
The very first, like the first album, which we talked about earlier, there's a bridge in that song where I brought in baritone sax, my friend Katya Reicherman that played Rod Stewart, and I put Mellotron in there, and all these sounds and Ebo type guitars so just for that little section, it's totally, here's King Crimson,
That's
this
cool.
Is the bridge, and then it goes into some spacey, I'm a big Pink Floyd fan, and I like music that takes you into a different place.
Yeah. And this did that for sure. For me, it's like I say, it was very ethereal, very atmospheric, where I could just sink into it and be lifted up. It was really, really something.
I'm glad when people get it. I'm really glad that you're,
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you know, you know.
Exactly. If you know.
Yep. Yeah. People are going to get this. The people who are supposed to get it are going to get it. No doubt. Do you see yourself playing in a band? A steady band gig, or are we going to get more solo stuff? Are you,
Well, as far as the solo stuff goes, we'll see how this is received, and if people want more, I have more songs that I haven't finished, and I could certainly create more songs. As far as being in a band, it depends on the situation. I mean, like I said, I am playing with Greg and Terry and their thing, which is really fun. It's just a fun thing that we do. I was just out with them for 5 weeks.
Wow.
But
wow. That's a pretty lengthy.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a blast, and so we'll see what happens. I mean, my phone rings if somebody's interested in talking to me about it, doing something. I'm all ears.
Okay.
But it's really great to be overseeing everything myself on my own.
That's what I figured, I mean, I always, I know you as kind of, a band guy. You like to be part of a band, you've been in so many different projects as, a group. To have you as a solo artist is really a special thing. I feel like I'm getting you, just you. And that's really, that's special.
Well, you're seeing with the diversity of the record, you're seeing the different sides of what I'm at is musically, and that's I would much prefer this being my legacy than the very first album I ever did in 1983. You know?
Right,
Because
right,
even though that's the biggest thing since whatever sliced bread, yeah,
right.
you know, I would prefer people can listen to this and go, oh, so this is what he's about. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some elements of this in some of the music, like on QR3, maybe Twilight Hotel,
Right.
and you know, House of Lords has some things possibly that
Totally, yeah.
intersect with this, but in general, this is what I'm about.
Yeah. And it's great, man. It's great. I love what you're about for sure. Do you see yourself back on the road, you know, maybe doing a few of these tunes live?
Well, that question always comes up, obviously, with this kind of thing, and to pull off the vision that I would have for this record in a live situation, I would need Roger Waters' budget.
Right. Bring all 30 or 40 guests with you.
I mean, have like all these musicians and have picture like rear screen projections and all this stuff to just take people into an immersive experience with the music. There is a possibility of doing a few songs off of this that are more stream, like Throwing Stones, for instance. It's not as thick with acoustic guitars and all that, and a few songs off the album, and delving into other things that I've done that could be pulled off with a more streamlined unit. But yeah, to do this right would take, you know, a lot.
Yeah. I just want to see you, man. I want to see you out here. I
was in St. Charles. That's not too far from you.
Yeah.
I think I saw you at the Arcada Theater, right?
Yeah. That was a while ago, though. Yeah, I miss you, man.
I know, it's been too long.
Yeah, it has. Well, you know, if you hit the road, you know, I'll be there for sure. And you know, hopefully I can get out there and you know, hang at the ultimate jam night, man. My dream come true.
You know, I'll take care of you.
Yeah, man.
You know, hopefully it'll be on a night when we're doing whatever. It's always the musicians that play there are always the best that are in town, so it'll be a great show.
Yeah, you know, I talked to August Zadra quite a bit. He's a good personal friend, and you know, he just you know, he loves it. And I mean, he you know, it's just all of those guys. Everyone I've talked to, and Jeff's been on the show for, you know, 6 times now or something. Right. You know, and they love what you're doing there and keeping that alive. And that it's
trying, man.
So much fun too.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a great social networking thing for people. I mean, I can't even count the number of relationships that have been created and bands that have been formed, or guys got gigs on tours because, oh, wow, that guy's great. And then they get, you know, maybe somebody sees a video from them playing an Ultimate Jam night or whatever. It's been a great thing to connect people. In fact, people have gotten married from meeting at the
How cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of examples of that. And I've, you know, made so many new and great friends now. Through this, through doing this. It's a team effort. It's, you know, I kind of oversee everything, but Pauly Z is an amazing MC, and he sings as, you know, like he's an amazing singer, can sing any style. And I have Jessica Chase who does she does the media stuff, and she also will take over booking when I can't do it. And she's more of the in line. She knows the metal world way better than I do. So we just did a show for Big Four, the Anthrax, Metallica thing, and she did that show for me. So, and then my partner Adam kind of handles all the inner workings with the show. But it's a team effort, but I kind of get to be the sheltering sky.
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Chuck Wright's umbrella.
Yeah, that's right. Check out my new album, Chuck Wright's umbrella. I can see me on the cover holding a yellow umbrella.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm glad to do that one too, right? Sheltering Sky, Chuck Wright's Sheltering Sky.
This Friday,
May 20th, Cleopatra Records. Get out there. There it is. Look at it. Oh, that's just gorgeous, man. That is.
I'll tell Glenn you said so.
Absolutely. Please do. And tell him, as a photographer, I hold him in extremely high regard. He's the best there is.
I agree.
You know, he's an inspiration to me for sure. You know, so Chuck, I love you, man, and I hope to see you soon. Let's do this again, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sheltering Sky on Friday. Get out there and get it however you can, man. Chuck, let's do it again. I'll see you, man.
Okay, take care.
All
Cheers,
right.
everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.